Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanu Pravaram Rajalasrasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Patanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Raman Pisthaya Bhutale Rupanu Bhaktidam Cha Kripamurti Narayanam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dhara Shri Sada Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of our spiritual masters, Entlai Srimad Bhaktivedanta Sri Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev, Entlai Srimad Bhaktivedanta Sri Vam Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev, to the entire Rupanakari Guru Varga, to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas present, to our guardians, and to especially this glorious Tithi of Vasanta Pancami, which is the Tithi of Shri Krishna's Vasantiya Raslila with Srimati Radhika and the Gopis, and also the appearance day of Vishnupriya-devi, Ragunandana, Thakur, Ragunatha, Gosvami, Pundarika, Vidyanithi, the disappearance day of Sri Cakravarti, Thakur, Sri Bhakti, Viveka, Bharati Maharaj, Sri Bhakti, Svarupa, Parvata Maharaj, and also Saraswati Puja, and also we see in Durvasa Rishi ashram there, and so many Brajvasis are visiting the temple there. From morning to night, like thousands are coming to the temple there. So we hear that in this Tithi, Vasantiya Ras is very special. Why? Because we see that according to Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govind, we hear that he has described therein that here the superiority and the excellence of Srimati Radhika was established. No. And Mahaprabhu was asking Raya Ramananda, he said that in this Panchayati Ras, the Sharadiya Ras, we hear that Srimati Radhika, when she left Krishna, he did not leave openly. When she left, he followed her from behind. So in this way there was some confusion. And therefore Mahaprabhu told Raya Ramananda, this I cannot agree, that this proves the superiority of Srimati Radhika. If Srimati Radhika would have left openly in front of everyone, then I could have agreed that if Krishna would have left the rasa dance openly and followed Srimati Radhika from behind, then I could have agreed that this was the that in this case the superiority of Srimati Radhika is established. And then Raya Ramananda Prabhu, he quoted from Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govind, wherein he said that when Srimati Radhika saw that Krishna was dancing with every gopi, when she had this man, and when she left, Krishna immediately also followed her from behind, and he left the rasa dance. And then all the gopis saw this. So therefore, here in this Vasanti Rasyatra, Srimati Radhika's glories have been established. Also in this Rasyatra, we hear that sometimes only the Sapaksha gopis, Srimati Radhika, take part. In this Panchayati Ras in Vrindavan, the gopis belonging to the Sapaksha, Vipaksha, Tatastha, Sivrit, they all take part. But in this Vasanti Ras, only the gopis belonging to Srimati Radhika's group, they take part in this Leela. And we see here that now Vrindavan, everywhere, we see this color of Srimati Radhika. This golden color. The deities are dressed in yellow, and then these flowers, and everything here. Why? Because this color in itself has been arranged by Vrindadevi. Why? Because when Krishna sees this golden color of Srimati Radhika, he becomes, he has so much Uddipa in his heart. To meet her and engage in all these different leelas, pastimes. Today is the Tithi of this Vasanti Rasyatra. And also we hear that Saraswati Devi is also worshipped in this Tithi. So normally worldly people, they worship Saraswati Devi, the goddess of learning, that is the Shakti of Brahma, Why? So that they can get worldly knowledge. But we know, we saw in Keshav Kashmiri's example, Keshav Kashmiri was blessed by Saraswati Devi. He was blessed by her. And then he engaged in so many discussions, he defeated so many, but when he came across Mahaprabhu, he was completely humble. He did not say anything in front of Mahaprabhu. And then when he prayed to Saraswati Devi that how could I be defeated by this young boy? When the scholar, then she said, you don't know who he is, he is my Prabhu. How can I give you this Shakti to defeat my Prabhu? This I cannot help you. go immediately and ask for forgiveness from him. So we see that Divya Saraswati, what does she do? She gives this transcendental knowledge to all the jivas. And by this transcendental knowledge, all the jivas, they have this Vigyan. What is a Vigyan? Pure Bhakti itself. Now, we hear that Krishna, when he initiated Brahma through his flute, that is the Kama Gayatri, Brahma, he received this mantra and then he engaged in the act of creation. And actually the Kama Gayatri means that not different from Kamadev himself. So Divya Saraswati, she uses adhikar for everyone to receive this Kamadev in one's heart. And this Vidyavadu Jivanam, we hear, the life of all transcendental knowledge is holy name. In other words, the Nami and the Nam are the same personality. So therefore, who is the life of Divya Saraswati Devi herself? It's Krishna himself. And we hear that Leela also, that the Vaishnavas always describe this Leela. That Brahma was performing a yajna in Prayag, and then the Ahuti had to be performed, the final part of the ceremony. And then he called for Savitri Devi, but Savitri Devi was a little late. So then he was thinking what to do. Then there was a covered woman somewhere nearby. And immediately he called her, and then anyhow she acted as Brahma's wife. And this way the ceremony was completed there. And this way we hear that in this form she is a consort of Brahma. In this way she is a covered girl. But also, actually Krishna himself arranged for her to marry Brahma. Why? In this way they could have some Parakiya Bhav there. This way her worship is also performed on this day. And we see that even Durvasa Rishi, in Durvasa Rishi's temple also we hear so many thousands of devotees come there and they worship him, they please him. We hear how Durvasa Rishi in all his pastimes, how he is acting in such very unusual ways. Why? To glorify Krishna and his devotees. Why did he behave in such a way with Ambarish Maharaj? The Vaishnavas, they ask this question that who does Bhagavan favor more? Ambarish Maharaj or Durvasa Rishi? Previously on this occasion they asked this question. So the answer generally is that Bhagavan favored Ambarish Maharaj more. Because he said, Am Bhakta Bharati to Durvasa Rishi. But actually we see, who did he favor more? Bhagavan. He favored Durvasa Rishi more. Why? Because you will only chastise one person whom you favor more. Did Bhagavan ever chastise Ambarish Maharaj? He did not chastise him. But he chastised Durvasa Rishi. He sent his Sudarshan Chakra behind him. The Sudarshan Chakra went everywhere trying to chase Durvasa Rishi. And then finally when he fell at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj and then he asked for forgiveness, then he was forgiven. But then we see that Durvasa Rishi, why did he act in such a way? Only to please Bhagavan and to glorify his devotees. And we see that he acts in such unusual ways everywhere. And in the pastimes of Ram, in the pastimes of Krishna, and everywhere he's acting in that way. Now we see that even when Ramchandra, when he was about to finish his Leela, he told Lakshman that make sure that no one enters and disturbs my conversation between Kal and myself. That is time personified. But Durvasa Rishi, he immediately came and told Lakshman, I want to see Ram. And Lakshman said, Prabhu, please wait. He said, no. I said, I'll curse the entire Ayodhya dynasty. Then Lakshman said, better that he curse me rather than cursing the dynasty. And then he went and he told Ram that someone is here to receive him, to meet with you. And then Ram said, I told you not to disturb me. But still you did, why? And then Durvasa Rishi, when he came, he told Ram, oh, I'm very hungry now. Please give me something to eat. He said. And Ramchandra, he looked at Lakshman, he said, now the punishment is that Prantan, I'll have to take a life away. How can I do this? I'm my elder brother. Then Vasishta said, rather than taking his life away, abandon him. This is as good as giving him death. And then as we know, Lakshman, he entered into eternal Saket Dham, and Ram and all the others also entered into Saradu and entered into eternal Saket Dham. This way, so many Leelas, even in Krishna's pastimes. When he appeared in Dwaraka and he had Krishna appear on smear his remnants all over his body except his feet. And then we hear that when Krishna was shot at, by the hunter he was shot at his feet. So this way he is always glorifying the devotees in very strange ways. And also we hear that Braj, how he was unable to say that Krishna was Bhagavan himself. And Krishna and Sridham, they were playing, and they sat on the lap of Durvasa and they started pulling on his beard. They started saying that, oh, who won this wrestling match, Sridham or me? And Durvasa was completely lost. And then what happened? He saw that there was millions of universes and there were millions of Durvasas, millions of Krishna, and realized it was Parabrahma himself. But which is the most important Leela of Durvasa? that is like most favorable for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It is a leela of him blessing Srimati Radhika. Durvasa Rishi came to Raval on Barsana and then he said, "Oh, Vishvanatha, I'm very hungry. Please tell your daughter to cook something for me." So then he said, "My daughter, I'd rather cook for you or my wife." He said, "No, only your daughter." He said, "My daughter is so young, how can she cook?" Anyhow, she must. Then Radharani, in the middle of the night, she had all these stoves and with all her sakhis, she cooked so many malpuas, large quantities of kheer and everything. And finally, Durvasa Rishi ate everything and he blessed Srimati Radhika. Anyone who eats from a hand, they will receive a long life. Therefore, Mother Yashoda always arranges that Srimati Radhika come to Nanda Bhavan from Javat and cook for Krishna. So we see that this Leela is very vital in the meeting between Radha and Krishna. It's only because of Durvasa Rishi's blessing that Radha and Krishna can meet each other and Krishna can taste what Radharani is cooking. So in this way he's played a very special part in these Leelas. And also we hear that Vishnupriya-devi, her appearance is also today. The Vaishnavas have even published this small book on her glories. And we hear Vishnupriya-devi that even after Mahaprabhu took sannyas and left, and when she was in Navadvip, is it Mahaprabhu did not give her Sakshat Darshan? That is true. Because it is forbidden for him to ever give darshan to her. But without giving his darshan to her, how could she have possibly survived? It's not possible for her to survive. How did she stay for so many years even after Mahaprabhu's disappearance that when Jiva Goswami came, she placed her feet on Jiva Goswami and blessed him? How is it possible? It means actually Mahaprabhu was giving darshan to her in a spurti. In spurtis, he was coming and giving darshan to her. And we hear also that Mahaprabhu, he would send many devotees back to Navadvip with some prasad and some words of consolation that he pacify my mother. But actually, who was he sending these messages to? When Krishna sent Uddhav to Braj, he told Uddhav, "Oh, you pacify my mother and my father." But who did he really mean when he said you pacify? Who? Actually the gopis. No, like we hear that Nanda and Yashoda, they did not become mad. Yashoda Maya became blind. She was weeping so much she became blind. But do we ever hear that they became mad in separation from Krishna? Nanda Maharaj could still speak to Uddhav. But the gopis, they became completely mad. Unmadini. So therefore, who did Krishna specifically tell Uddhav to pacify? It was actually the gopis. And then he sent this letter through Uddhav to the gopis that even Uddhav could not read. And what was written in this letter? Krishna himself, by his own tears, he used his tears as an ink to just write a few letters, syllables there. This was given to the gopis. Similarly, we hear that Vishnupriya-devi, Mahaprabhu, when he sent someone to pacify Sachi-devi, his mother, who was he actually intending to pacify? It was Vishnupriya-devi. No, indirectly, he would also mean that you also pacify her. And then when Sachi-devi would give this Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu to Vishnupriya-devi, she would never say this is from Nimai. She'd say this is Jagannath Mahaprasad. Because if she'd say that this Mahaprasad is from Nimai, then Vishnupriya-devi, immediately she may have even given up her life. So therefore she says, no, this is from Jagannath. This is Jagannath Mahaprasad. This way she'd honor that Mahaprasad. This way we hear that previously Ramchandra, he had told Sita that in Mamgachi, that in this Leela, you will have to go to the forest and I'll be in the kingdom. Why? Because this is the case of separation. In an ocean, if there are no waves, the ocean is very dull. Only if there are waves sporting on the ocean, then the ocean is very attractive to look at. That's why Mahaprabhu told Ramchandra told Sita Devi that this way we will be separated. And then we hear that to repay this debt to Sita Devi, he left to the forest. And Vishnupriya-devi was left at home. But actually, did he actually repay this debt to her? That is the question. No, even when Ram was in the kingdom and Sita Devi was in the forest, she had Vishwamitra, Valmiki Rishi, and the other saints and the other elderly ladies there to pacify her. She also had her 2 sons. But here, who was there to pacify Vishnupriya-devi? There was no one there. Even Mother Sachi, she herself was absorbed in so much separation. There was only one person who could pacify her, that was Ishal Thakur, who was like Mahaprabhu's great-grandfather. But how could he also pacify her? So therefore we see that when actually Mahaprabhu desired that, as Ramchandra he was indebted to Sita, so he had to repay this debt, actually he became more indebted to Vishnupriya-devi. Because who could be more renounced than Mahaprabhu? Vishnupriya-devi herself. She was more renounced than him. Washing every grain of rice and offering it to Mahaprabhu. In this way. So this way, she is Bhakti Devi herself. Prema Bhakti Svarupini herself. And today is her appearance day. So we also hear that today is also the appearance day of Ragunandana Thakur. So we heard about his glories on the Tithi of Narahari Sarkar. Now we heard the glories there. How Narahari Sarkar, he was the first person to initiate the worship of Govind Gopinath Madan Mohan. First he would offer bhoga to all the three deities, and then this bhoga would be distributed to everyone, this Mahaprasad. So much so that when even we hear that when Ragunandana offered this half-eaten laddu to Gopinath, his father could not believe him. Narahari Sarkar, he was the one who told his father that from now you must never doubt your son. Whatever he's offering is for the best. And we hear that Ragunandana Thakur himself dancing in front of Jagannath's chariot with all the Srikhanda Vasis would give so much happiness to Mahaprabhu there. They would all form groups around Mahaprabhu and dance. Why? Because previously Mahaprabhu thought that when Krishna, he left the rasa dance. So now what will we do? Because Mahaprabhu is absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radhika, he surrounded the chariot from all sides with all the Kirtan groups. This way he said, now Jagannath cannot run away. Krishna cannot run away from the Raslila. So this way Ragunandana Thakur, he would dance and give so much happiness to Mahaprabhu. And this way we hear that all the Srikhanda Vasis themselves, they were so dear to him. In this way. Also today is the Tithi of Raghunath Das Goswami. So we hear how this life of Raghunath Das Goswami in itself is a jewel in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahaprabhu, the Vaishnavas always repeat this conversation that Mahaprabhu had with Raghunath Das Goswami. Sthirahoy garajao naam patul krama krama bhayalo bhava sindhu ko markan vairagya na kare loka dekaiya vishaya gunja tatapi vishaya. Always get this wrong. Anyhow, antaranishta bhaya loka vyavahar achirate pabe Krishna tamayandhar. That don't be overly excited to leave home. Just anyhow, stay at home and anyhow you'll be unattached and detached and carry on. And then he left home. Then we hear how that when he passed through the forest, he passed a 1 month journey in 12 days. And this way he met Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu offered him to Sarvadhamma Goswami's hands. No, in this way. This way Raghunath Das Goswami, we hear how much nishtha he had in staying in Vrindavan and staying in Radhakund. No. In this way, when we learn all these verses from Upadeshamrit, that actually the last 3-4 verses are only speaking about the glories of Radhakund. Vaikunta Janito Varamadhuri, Tatrapi Rasotsava, Vrindaranya Udhar Pani Ramana, Tatrapi Govardhana, Radhakunda Yapi Kokulapate, Premramrita Plavana, Kuryat Vasam, Virajato, Giritate, Sevam, Viveki Naka. And greater than Vaikunta is Mathura, greater than Mathura is Vrindavan. Then Govardhan, Radhakund. Who is that person who will not stay there? No, there's such wonderful verses that Rupa Goswami speaks there. And Raghunath Das Goswami himself practiced them in his life. No. Karmibhyo parito hari priyataya yatyam yayur gyaninas tebhyo gyana vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishtas tata tebhyos tata pashupala pankaja drishas tabhyo piradika preshta tadvad iyam tadiya sarasi tam nashrayat kakriti. That although the karmis are glorious, who among them is most glorious? The Gyanis. And among them, those who have this nishtha. But still among them, the gopis. And among them, Radharani. And Radhakund herself is not different from her. No. Krishna Chai Pranay Vasati Preyasebhyo Piradha Kundam Chasya Munivirapito Kuryat Dasibir. And therein it is said, Tat Preyasera Apya Sulabam Kin Punar Bhakti Bhajam Tat Premedam Sakritapi Saras Natu Avishkaroti. That one person has been even once in Radhakund to receive the darshan of Srimati Radhika. So Raghunath Das Goswami embodied these statements of Rupa Goswami. And also today is the Tirobhav Tithi of Vishvanatha Cakravarti Thakur. So we hear that when they wanted to kill him, what happened? He assumed the form of a gopi. And then they all begged for forgiveness from him. In this way, no. And then this way, when they had darshan of him as a gopi, all the anarthas in his heart, they went away. And then Vishvanatha Cakravarti Thakur, he himself established this Parkevad between Radha and Krishna. Normally we hear that when he was in his previous ashram, when he wanted to leave home, his guru told him that you must take permission from your wife. So then the whole night he kept speaking Harikatha to his wife in this Devgram. And then his wife was so much attracted by his Harikatha that she said, yes, you can leave home. And then he left home and he came to here, reside in Vrindavan. And so he wrote such wonderful books that Gurudev has published. This Brihad Bhagavatamrit, this Ujjali Manikiran, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, this Tika on the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Vishwanatha Thakur was like the life and soul of Srila Gurudev. He would only quote from Cakravarti Thakur. And we say that his greatest contribution to the Gaudiya Vaishnava line is that he re-established the worship of Radha and Krishna. It was in great danger because the Ramanandi Vaishnavas and some others were questioning the place of Srimati Radhika in this worship, saying her name is not even mentioned, but anyhow he sent Baladev Vidyabhushan on his behalf, he re-established it in this way. So today is his Tirobhav Tithi. And also today are the Tirobhav Tithis of Srimad Bhakti Viveka Bharati Maharaj and Bhakti Svarupa Parvata Maharaj. So Bhakti Viveka Bharati Maharaj is from Jessore, the same district where Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj lived. And it is said that Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he met Bhakti Ratna Thakur and he became a disciple of Prabhupada. Similarly, Bhakti Ratna Thakur was also the Siksha Guru of Bhakti Viveka Bharati Maharaj. He received so much guidance from him. Then he received initiation from Srila Prabhupada with his name Nayanabhirama Das. And then eventually he even received sannyas. How? He said he was actually washing pots. And Prabhupada noticed him, this larger than life personality washing pots, and he said, oh, this person, he is suitable for sannyas. And he gave him sannyasa in 1921. He was only the second sannyasi after Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj. And this way it is said that he preached so much and brought so many people to meet Prabhupada. So many, about hundreds. And then he said, even this Sachidananda Gaudiya in Cuttack, he preached to the queen of that place. He said, what are you doing? Now you're a queen, next life you will be born as a street beggar. Make use of your wealth in the service of my spiritual master. And then anyhow, this was offered in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Then we know how he was the beloved Siksha Guru of Bhakti Shri Siddhanti Maharaj. He would beat Siddhanti Maharaj so much, and Prabhupada asked Siddhanti Maharaj that maybe you should not stay with him. He said, no, he's beating me for my welfare. I can only stay with him. And this way he pleased Prabhupada so much. Also today is the Tirobhav Tithi of Bhakti Svarupa Parvata Maharaj. So we hear that he was a young boy born in Gotrum. So when he was born in Gotrum there, he was always staying near Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Kutir. So he was never interested in like mundane things. He would always listen to Bhaktivinoda Thakur doing kirtan. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I have one seva for you. Every day you go from here to Mayapur singing all the kirtans that I've written. So all these kirtans he wrote, like Nadiya Gotrume and all these other ones. Like Radha Krishna Bol 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 Re Sabhai. All these ones he would have Bhakti Swarup Parvat Maharaj sing. And then he'd be going to Mayapur back and forth, singing all these wonderful kirtans. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so happy with him. And he even gave him Harinam. And then he said, now your only business is to just anyhow chant Harinam and engage yourself in the service of Mahaprabhu. And then when Bhaktivinoda Thakur left, he took Diksha from Prabhupada. And when he took initiation from Prabhupada, it is said that Prabhupada sent him to develop this Bhakti Kuti in Jagannath Puri. He said, you go to Jagannath Puri and redevelop this place. And he just stayed there in Bhakti Kuti. And then Prabhupada, he then gave him sannyas, and then he had him go and preach in Odisha. When he was preaching in one place in Odisha, he looked at all the people there and he said, all of you don't have Akshar Gyan. So then they all became so angry at him. Are you saying that we are illiterate? Because Akshar Gyan means like one who doesn't have any education. So then they all wanted to like confront him. Then the brahmachari told him, Maharaj, don't go there. He said, no. Again he said, none of you have Akshar Gyan. Then he said, what is the meaning of Akshar? Akshar means something which is fallible. Chut. Akshar means Achyut. None of you have this infallible knowledge. None in this universe have this infallible knowledge, he said. Therefore, on the order of my spiritual master, I have come to enlighten you in this regard. Then they somehow passed by and they heard him speak Katha in this way. And then he started speaking. So then in this way it is said that when he established his temple in Udala, in Odisha, it is said that they asked him what should be the first thing we should place in the foundation? Then he said the first thing you should place in the foundation of this temple, he said, is the foot dust of my spiritual master. So then they said, how can we get this, the foot dust of your spiritual master? Then there was a nearby place called Kaumar, 15 kilometers from there, where Prabhupada had spoken Harikatha. He said, that foot dust of my spiritual master is present in this place. Then he took some foot dust, some dust from that place, and that was the first thing he put in the foundation of the temple. He said, this is the foot dust of my Prabhupada. And on the foundation of this, the temple will be built, he said. And then the temple was duly built on that. So much nishtha he had. Sometimes it is said that even if the disciples would cook for him more than he wanted, like if they make more than 2 rotis, he becomes so angry at him, saying, why did you cook so much for me? Normally only 2 I eat, why did you cook 3 for me? They chastise them so much in this way. So such a wonderful Tithi and such wonderful personalities. We can only pray at the lotus feet of all these different personalities that our Bhakti, that devotion can gradually increase day by day, and most importantly that we anyhow strive to be under the Anugatya of Sri Guru and Vishnus. Vanchakalpataru Vishya Kripasindhya Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavibhyo.